at the Marriott Syracuse downtown, getting our day cracking at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. With that, we bring on our regular Friday guest at this time. He is Eric Dungey. Welcome in, Eric. And a random topic that just occurred to me earlier today with all this news coming out of New York with Daniel Jones. If I have my years right, that was Daniel's rookie year was the year you were in camp with the Giants. Am I remembering my history correct here, Eric?
You are remembering it correctly. I came in with Daniel. And actually, I tip my hat to him, but that's the nature of the beast. And he had all the time in the world to right the ship there, and they paid him a lot of money. And unfortunately, the amount of money that they were paying him, it was not getting it done. But he's a great kid. I have a lot of respect for him as a friend and a man, and I was able to build a rapport with him when I went there. But yeah, I was thinking about it. But you know what? Now that I'm done playing, the Giants are not known for the best decision making. I still remember when they cut me. They said, "You just don't fit the tight end build." I said, "I have never played tight end in my life, so why would I fit a tight end build?" So you know what? It is what it is. Hopefully he finds a better place. Obviously Saquon, he's turned out fine. So maybe it's just that franchise there.
Yeah, my Giants. It's been a bit of a struggle here recently, Eric. It's been no kidding. You don't fit the tight. You're not a tight end. Why would you fit the tight end build? You've never been a tight end one day in your life. It's wild how fast the NFL moves, right? Like he goes from a 6-year starter to not on the team in the middle of the season in the span of like 3 days. It's amazing how fast that league moves along with stuff.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. But you know what? I'm excited because Tommy's going to be out there, and really happy for the success that he's found, and hopefully he can bring some excitement. It's just. It's crazy too, and I saw an interview with Drew Lock. I was very invested into the whole quarterback controversy going on over there, and Drew's like, "Yeah, well, I was QB2 all year, and now that QB1's gone, now I'm still QB2." So funny how that works out there, but he's obviously going to be supportive of Tommy, and I think at this point, New York's really just trying to do anything they can to sell some tickets out there.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, right. How do I even forget the obvious connection between you and DeVito that's going on with the bet? There's so much going on with the Giants right now. Well, the Tommy thing's fascinating, right? He had like one of the more random star turns in NFL history last year for a month, and he basically he's got 7 weeks to see if he can make a career, right? Like it's a chance to see if he can stick in the league for a long time.
Definitely. This is his opportunity, and it's the league of opportunity. And unfortunately for quarterbacks, there's only 32 teams that you can really play on, and it has to be either through injury or through underperformance. And in this case, he's got the opportunity to go out and really, like you said, make a career for himself, or maybe find a new career. But I think Tommy's going to do a phenomenal job. He always seems to rise to the occasion there. All he's got to do is get the ball into the playmaker's hands, and get rid of the ball quickly. Because I think every time I feel like I've watched Tommy play, it's like the sack record for the defense or whatever defense is going against them. So make sure that he's getting rid of the ball, finding his hots, and I hope that they do well, and I want to see him succeed there.
Yeah, even in the wins last year that he got sacked a lot of times, like a shocking amount of times, and the Giants O-line is, it's not great. It's still not great, so we'll see how that goes. The Giants have had a very weird recent history with Syracuse quarterbacks. Like Nassib was there for 4 years, but never played because Eli Manning was there, and it was just, he never missed a down, basically, and then your experience of them calling you a tight end, and now Tommy's there. So it's been strange times for Syracuse players. We'll see if McCord ends up there or somewhere nearby. Kyle's a Jets fan, so we'll see how that all goes for him coming up. All right, Eric. So that is that with my Giants. Always an exciting mess to talk about there. Syracuse here, man, they headed out to your coast last week, Eric, and that is the most complete 60 minutes, right? They've put together all season. That was impressive from start to finish last week.
It was super impressive, and you know what? It starts with my guy LaQuint Allen there, dominating that run game early on in the game, and then finishing out at the end there. So I think for going into this week and going against UConn tomorrow, if they can just establish that run game, and I think Syracuse is really going to have a field day. I was looking at the spread there for 10 points. I was just like, it's so hard for any team to come into the Dome, especially when a Syracuse team like this has been winning. You can bet that the Dome's going to be packed. It's going to be loud, and the team's really going to feed off of that energy there. So it's going to be a long day for the UConn offense. and I think Kyle's going to put up some really, really impressive numbers. But I want to see, LeQuint just have if LeQuint gets another 100-yard performance, I mean, this game's not even going to be close, because Kyle's going to do his thing and throw for 3 bills plus. But when LeQuint's rolling, this team is really, really fun.
Yeah, I look at what last week, it's just like, oh, yeah, ho-hum, McCord threw for 300 again. Yeah, I mean, just let everyone move on with life. It's just normal now. And he's, if he has a bad game this week, he's still going to set the Syracuse single-season passing yardage record and break a Ryan Nassib record from back more than a decade ago. And, you, Erica, you have the highest, I think it's the yards per game season in school history, which is like 298, and he's at 350. So that's going down, Eric. It's not close. It's not close here. But the LeQuint thing, I think, is what really stands out. We've seen now in the games since the Pitt game, we've seen that balance with LeQuint and the passing game, which feels like it's made a much more complete offense here the last few weeks, right?
Definitely. I mean, the run game is so crucial, and you could have the highest octane, throwing offense in the country, but teams can eventually stop that. And we, once we relied on it against Pitt and we got into a hole, it was hard to get out of, and you saw what happened there. So for them to go back, and that's why I tip my cap to Coach Brown and to this offense, to this offense as a whole. They found their identity. They know that they're going to be able to throw the ball up and down the field. But for those games where some things are going different, maybe receivers are dropping balls, or you just need to establish that run game, they're able to rely on that. And it starts with those guys up front. I don't think they get enough credit throughout this season. I think we're harping on them at the start of the season, or if Kyle was going down, but they have done such a great job opening up those holes. We talk all about LeQuint, and how great he's been running, but if you look at some of those holes that O-line is opening up, it is impressive. So, I mean, Brian, you could step back there and you could run for, 30 or 40, I think, with this O-line, the way that they're rolling nowadays. But it's fun to see. And it really starts with those guys up front. It starts with the culture that Coach Brown has instilled into this program. And, the future is very bright. And we're talking about his first year here. And, we're fighting for win number 8 with an opportunity to upset a Miami team who I have not been too impressed with. I think there's a lot of cracks in that Miami team. So I think Syracuse can get to 9 and then have that opportunity for a double-digit win with that bowl game. So a lot of hope, a lot of excitement, and a lot of bright opportunity for this team.
I think the chance is there. I think that Miami game, I have no reason to think that won't be a real game legitimately coming up next Saturday. Eric, I'm not seeking out the contact, though, like LeQuint. If they're going to open up a hole, I'll take some yards. I am not trying to find out that extra yard or two. I'm not doing that LeQuint stuff where he runs over guys like 6-7 times a game.
Yeah, I would say the same, but I was actually doing that as well. And I had a neck surgery, shoulder surgery coming up, so I'm facing it now, but
Yeah, I'd say you could say you wouldn't do that, but we all wouldn't believe you because we all saw you do it every week for you'd just be a straight lying to us. But now you get put back together. That's how the post football career goes. And it is UConn today. It reminded me, man, of one of the days of your career that day where we kind of learned all about Amba Editawo, right, at UConn, where he had I think he had about 8 million yards during that game. Any memories of that one where you were hooking up with Amba basically every play all game long?
Yeah, that was so much fun. And I think, 270 plus. And Amba was, again, there's a lot of guys that I remember, but Amba was definitely one of my favorite. And he was the Maryland reject. They didn't think he was going to be much there. And then he came here and, what was impressive about him is he was the worst practice player I think I've ever seen, but during the games, he would just turn it on like nobody else. I mean, he was dropping everything in practice, but it was just like, the lights came on and Amba was just a beast and had so much fun with him. And not only that, but just a great guy off the field too. So really, really happy I got to play with him. And it's just the numbers that he put up, like you said, it was one of the more memorable games in my college career.
He had he had 12 catches for 270 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. The 270 was a single game school record for receiving, which randomly he actually kind of threatened a couple times that year because he had such a ridiculous year. He had the single season touchdown. He had the single season whatever you want records for receiving for Syracuse that year. Yardage. He did all of the things that year. He was fantastic. All right, you said it, Eric. You think Syracuse is going to win tomorrow? Look, it's also senior day. They're doing it next week, ahead of the week after that. You think that makes sense here? Fran said he's because he wants to make sure everyone can travel here for the game. You can't say this part out loud. I'm going to imagine this is going into it, right? You want to do it against UConn so you don't have to deal with that against Miami? Like, what goes into games like this when you have that stuff going on before the game?
You know what? I think it's smart, though. You want to obviously have that senior day and end on a win. But I think also, to the contrary, like with Miami, like you want everyone to be focused. You don't want anything else besides, we're going into a war, we're going into a battle. That's all I want our focus on. So I think it's smart for him to do. And, this team respects him so much, and I'm sure they're pumped about the decision. And, it's just thinking back on my senior day, it's a really special moment that you have, and you reflect on a lot of your career. I know a lot of these guys are transfers or this, that. But for a lot of them, this is going to be, might be their last time suiting up, or I guess the second to last or whatever it may be, in front of that crowd. So it's just enjoy the moment and make sure that you can go out on a high note. And I think Coach Brown knows that and expects them to win, as they should, unless another 5-interception game happens.
We're not going to bet on that happening. Hopefully, lightning does not strike twice here in that case. I'll be intrigued, I guess, to see, Eric, what kind of new traditions or anything Fran starts around this. We saw with you got to do that walk around the dome, which was really cool. Everyone got to come down and talk to you. We have no idea, right? I guess that's part of year one with a new coach. We get to learn all these new things all together at once.
Yeah, you took words out of my mouth. I'm curious to see what he does. It's that culture that he's building, and it's exciting. So whatever he does, I'm sure it's going to be great, and he'll probably get the fans involved or do something for these seniors. But, I do still remember, and I love that senior walk. It was so cool to be able to go, and, I would have spent 5 hours there if I could have. They were forcing me out there at the end, but it was so cool to just see all the fans and see everybody who's supported me throughout my journey, the ups and the downs, and really just have that moment with them was really cool. So I'm hopeful to see that he does something similar. He's going to make it his own, but something that, these seniors and the fans can remember.
The year was the first year that happened. All right, before we let you go, Eric, the chat wants to know, where are you right now? The chat is wildly curious of where you are at the moment.
I was working, so I had to find a studio. This is like it looks like a prison cell right now, but it's like a little conference room that I found, so...
Okay, the chat was making sure that I wasn't holding you captive somewhere. So as long as you are free to leave when we're done here, just to make
blink
sure.
Twice, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Blink twice if you're in Milwaukee. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. All right, man. Well, we'll let you escape your cell and get back to it, Eric. But thanks a lot. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk again next week, I'm sure.
Thanks, Brad. Have a good one.